So you've decided to go for a gifted seat at one of Chicago's prestigious selective elementary schools. You're probably one of the most cunning 4 or 5-year-olds anybody knows. Not only are you at the top of your game, you are ultra competitive, always looking to your next challenge and stomping out your adversaries. If this describes you, your chances on getting into one of Chicago's top gifted schools is pretty high. If not, watch this video to the end because I'm going to tell you the secret for what it takes to get into a gifted school and get the education of your dreams. Each year, around 15,000 gifted hopefuls descend onto the campus of Illinois Tech, where the Chicago Public Schools Selective Enrollment tests are administered. The tests are normally 30 to 45 minutes long with no breaks. Kids are expected to be able to separate from their parents and follow verbal instructions. There are no retakes. Now, here's the deal. Out of the many thousands or so kids that take the test, only a few hundred will be offered a seat at one of the 7 gifted kindergartens or just 3 gifted first grade classrooms in all of Chicago. The district also offers 3 gifted classrooms for English language learners and 5 classical school programs, which are also academically advanced. A tiny number of seats do open up in non-entry years, but the truth is that most are snatched up by incumbents rotating from other gifted programs. This means that based on odds, there's only about a 2% chance of getting into gifted. The stakes are high and the competition is fierce. For those that make it, it not only means instant access to the state's highest performing schools, generously funded by your Illinois budget, but a yellow brick road to gifted middle schools and even high schools beyond. So, to get down to it, there are only 2 things you need to do to get into gifted. The first is to know your options and choose. Since you've come this far, you may already have done your homework and know which programs you're going to apply to and are familiar with the application process and the deadlines. If not, check out the links down in the description to go to CPS's website and get my free detailed report on each of the selective elementary programs offered in the city. The second part is to ace the selective enrollment test, and I mean ace it. Depending on which program specifically you are going for, the cutoff scores have ranged between 120 and 150 on the standard scale. The schools with the largest applicant pools tend to have the highest cutoff scores. To put it in perspective, last year, Coonley's cutoff score was around 150, which is more than 3 standard deviations above the mean, or equivalent to the 99.9th percentile rank. You simply cannot rely on a 1 in 1,000 chance on getting into gifted. You have to be ruthless and have a major advantage. Now, there are a few simple things you can do to instantly increase your odds of getting that acceptance letter. First and foremost, set expectations. Whether you're preparing a year in advance or just weeks, talk to your folks from day one and know why you're taking the test and how important it is to you and to them. Circle the day on your calendar and talk about it more and more as the date draws near. Be excited that test day is coming up and make it a whole occasion with brunch and a plan to celebrate your absolute best effort with a fun activity after the test. Now, you don't want to get stressed out, but being open and honest about the process and your goals will help build a foundation of trust, and your mind will go to work on trying to make it possible. The next thing is to get familiarized with the test format. I recommend printing out some sample questions and mocking up a testing situation with you entering the room, sitting down, getting a verbal instruction, and then putting pencil to paper. Even if the test is not administered exactly how you rehearsed it, it will remove a lot of the uncertainty and anxiety about the testing environment and actually doing the test. Link to recommended materials down below. The last thing is to simply be fully rested and to arrive to the test early. Try to choose a testing time early enough to where it's the first major activity of the day, but not so early that you have to cut off sleep in order to get there on time. Actually, I recommend getting into a healthy bedtime ritual for no less than a week leading up to the test day. That morning, have a healthy, not too heavy breakfast with plenty of fluids, which are key for optimal brain performance, and make it a calm morning with plenty of encouragements. Have a set of 10 or so practice questions ready for the car or train ride on the way to the test. This will help loosen the cap on your thinking and elicit a natural flow of cognitive process. Performing these few simple techniques will automatically put you in the upper quarter among test takers. Now, to get to the 97th percentile and have a fair chance at getting into gifted, you're going to need some real smarts. Actually, not smarts, just direction and dedication. But a quick caveat. If you're the type of person that believes that IQ or smarts or intelligence or however you want to put it is fixed and that people are either born smart or not, then stop this video and good luck to you on the brutal selective enrollment test. But if you buy into the idea that your cognitive ability is persuadable, you've just notched up another 10% in the applicant pool. Listen, my own 4-year-old with speech delayed, it could not even count to 5. Now, he goes to one of the highest performing grade schools in our state. So, what's on the selective enrollment test? Well, as it turns out, CPS does not publish information on the types of tests it uses for selective enrollment. But it has been garnered that the cognitive abilities that the tests do measure for are the same abilities typically found on the OLSAT and NNAT abilities tests. These tests do not measure IQ per se, but it is believed that cognitive ability is a predictor of cognitive aptitude. These skills include verbal comprehension, which is basically the ability to remember and carry out directions, and a range of reasoning skills, including oral reasoning, arithmetic reasoning, picture classifications, picture analogies, picture series, figural classifications, figural analogies, pattern matrix, and figural series. So, what's all of this mean? Well, basically it means that you have to interpret verbal and graphic context, extract the most salient information, use memory, and give solutions by extrapolation. So, how exactly do you train to meet the demands of all of these measures? Well, it turns out that these abilities are instilled and enriched by some pretty common exposures. First of all, read. Reading is probably the most mind-enhancing activity you can do until at least age 6. Study upon study constantly confirm that parents who read to their kids had kids with higher awareness, comprehension, language usage, and attention. It also builds on the more elusive abilities of imagination, retention, problem solving, and higher emotional regulation. There are almost endless advantages to reading. Secondly, do puzzles. This includes jigsaw and block puzzles, games, letter sounds, counting exercises, and trivia. I really like Brain Quest, which are fun and engaging age-related exercises offered in the forms of games, workbooks, and flashcards. I love the flashcard decks, which cover many abilities found on the selective enrollment tests. They come bound together and are small enough and durable enough to take with you on the go for when you need to be out and about. Each deck has hundreds of individual exercises to keep you going, and I recommend working at least 1 to 2 years above your age or grade level, and ideally working up to 3 years above to get the most challenge and benefit from the exercises. Link up to recommended sources for these materials down in the show description. Again, if you do all of the above, I think your chances of getting into gifted are pretty fair. But to go from the 97th percentile to the 99th percentile and beyond, you're going to need a very specialized instrument. That's because there's a portion of the abilities test that is nearly impossible to train for. And it's the very reason why the program administrators say it's futile to even try. It lies in the spatial relational measures and is more mathematically focused. Now, you won't see formal math on the test. Instead, you'll be given shapes and patterns that challenge you to the concepts of transposition, rotation, reflection, interpolation, and other arithmetic constructs. But no matter how much exposure you may have had to these types of problems, you are unlikely to have gotten really much better at them. That's because these questions don't really measure your ability to transpose or interpolate per se. They actually question your competence on the underlying concepts of math, mainly that of abstraction, indexing, proportionality, and process. Now, I do get more into these concepts in another one of my videos, but the point is that you can install and deepen your grasp of these underlying skills, which will lead you to improve results in the spatial relational measures of the test. And now for the secret. The most effective way to hone these skills is to simply practice specially designed counting, comparing, and halving and doubling exercises. That's right, just 3 types of exercises. Now let me explain briefly how these exercises connect to each of the fundamental concepts. Numerical counting addresses the correlation of symbols and size and value, or abstraction, and also takes care of our concept of modularity and serialization, or indexing. Comparing values reinforces our effort on counting and adds proportionality, which is our understanding of the relative size of objects. Halving and doubling reinforces all of the previous and links into the concept of process, which is using functions or change to achieve a certain goal. So, all of this probably sounds pretty great, but one question remains. Where can you go to get a consistent, high-quality exposure to these types of exercises? Well, the answer is right here on this channel. Kinder's Guide is your destination for targeted spatial relational training to help blast you into the 99th percentile rank for the selective enrollment test. The best news is that the exercises here are easy to learn and only take between 2 and 10 minutes to practice, normally during free moments throughout your day, such as waiting at the doctor's office, going to the cleaners, or just walking to the park. So check out all of the amazing content on this channel, and please click that subscribe button. There is no cost to subscribe, and you'll continue to get mind-enriching exercises, tips, and math hacks that'll help push you into the upper 1% in cognitive ability. As always, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, this is Dale with the Kindergartner's Guide, helping you get into gifted. Take care.